Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Christy Stark, I'm the Communications Director for the City of San Marcos. We wanted to give a brief update regarding the fire that happened this morning at the iconic Village Apartments and Vintage Oaks Apartments. We have several folks who are going to talk today. What I want to stress right now is that we'll go ahead and give information about the fire, about what occurred. We're going to give some information about resources available to those who are displaced. We will not be answering any questions in regard to the fire investigation. We'll do a complete investigation on this, and when those results are available, we will release those to the public. So who I have with me today, I've got Bert Lumbreras, our city manager, Mayor John Tomides, Kelly Kistner is our fire marshal, I've got Rachel Engel, who is our emergency management coordinator, and then Rick Rowell, who is one of our assistant fire chiefs. And they will be here and available to answer questions at the end if you need additional information. What we want to do first is just really praise our fire department, the San Marcos Police Department, the Hays County and San Marcos EMS, and also the residents who responded this morning to a fire before 5 o'clock in the morning. Many residents went door to door and helped get their neighbors out. Our first responders were dealing with injured folks, with folks who had abruptly been awakened by a fire, and many of them were scared and also displaced. So we can't say enough about the patience, the skill, and also the effort that was put forward by all these folks, and specifically the residents, and also our heartfelt thoughts are with them as they're dealing with this fire. I'm going to turn this over to Mayor John Tomides and let him say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. First thing I want to say is thank you to all of our first responders, all of our firefighters who, here in San Marcos, who were on the scene very, very quickly. It's one thing to hear about firefighters running into burning buildings. It's another thing to actually see that occur. I also want to make sure that I thank our surrounding partners in the region, Kyle, Buda, New Braunfels, South Hays, Canyon Lake, and Seguin departments. All responded to assist us, to assist their brothers in the fire service, and of course we would do the same for them. All the other emergency responders, EMS, police, the San Marcos Police Department, our state troopers also were on the scene very, very quickly to assist what could have been an incredibly devastating fire. I want to talk directly to any of the victims and the families from this fire. If you were injured, if you were hurt, we're praying for you. We feel for you. If you're a family member of one of the victims or even one of the displaced families, we're going to be here for you. We're going to work with the Red Cross. We're going to work with all the resources that we can to help get you a full and speedy recovery if you were injured, or housing if you are now without that. So again, our thoughts, our prayers are with all the victims and with everyone displaced, especially those that were injured, for a full and speedy recovery. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Kelly, K-L-L-Y, Kistner, K-I-S-T-N-E-R, Fire Marshal for the City of San Marcos. This morning at 4:27 a.m., the initial call was received for the fire at the apartment complex. The City of San Marcos Fire Department responded quickly, very skillfully, and they were able to take what is a bad incident and prevent it from becoming even worse. Through that and all the departments that you heard the mayor mention, they have been working since 4:27. Fire operations are still ongoing at this time on the scene. And when that is complete, we will then move into the investigation phase. In preparation for that, the City of San Marcos has partnered with the State Fire Marshal's Office and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. Both of those agencies already have agents on the ground, and we are beginning to put the plan together in order to advance the investigation forward. At this point, we do not know where the fire started. We do not know how the fire started. We do not know the extent of the damage because the investigation has not been done. We know no other factors about the building, so I don't have anything to answer on that side because the investigation has not even begun yet. We're just now gathering resources. We will be on the ground. We will finish that investigation. We'll make sure that everything that can possibly be done is done so we can figure out the cause of the fire and of the incident we had this morning. And that's what I have.
Good morning, Rachel Engel, Emergency Management Coordinator for the City of San Marcos. A lot of the support resources that we have available, we have set up a temporary shelter at the San Marcos Activity Center for all of those displaced and affected by this incident. Those folks and their family members have been showing up at the Activity Center in order to receive assistance and get cooled off drinks and things like that. We are also in the process of establishing a family assistance center in order to assist those individuals further where they can have access to resources such as maybe hotel rooms or things like that that we look at for the future as their displacement coming up over the course of the next several weeks. So we're working on all of those things at this time. Nothing further.
All right, does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask?
Can we say how many people have been displaced at this point?
Definitely. I'll let Kelly answer that.
The last information that we've received at this point, there's 110 affected units, and there is at least 200 individuals who have been affected by the fire. That is based on information provided to us by management and ownership of the properties. So we're looking at approximately 200 persons who may need assistance.
The extent of injuries, is it still sitting at 6? That's the last number we heard as far as number of people injured.
Yes, definitely. And as soon as we have information that we can release, we will do that. We just want to be very respectful of the individuals who are injured and their families. So as soon as we know, we'll release that in writing, press release.
How long will the activity center be open as a shelter?
We'll have that open as long as we need to. I know right now we're in our initial stages for planning, and I'm sure that the next step would be, would be hotels and that kind of thing. Lisa Dvorak, who is on the city staff, is also working with the university to come up with long-term solutions. So we'll have information out on that just as soon as that's available. One additional piece of information that I don't think we shared is the emergency hotline number that has been set up. For folks who have questions, if there's residents who have questions or family members, we have city staff that is manning the phone lines. That number is 512-754-2291, and we do have people available and ready to answer questions and to assist people by phone.
One more question. You've already answered this, I believe, but do we know anything about fire alarms in the building?
At this time, what we'll do is we'll be releasing information on that as the investigation progresses, and we'll put that out in writing. And I think yes.
Oh, sorry. You mentioned 200 people affected total by the fire. Is that also Iconic Village and Vintage Pads?
Yes, I believe that we evacuated
Altogether.
at several areas. There were 2 buildings at Iconic Village and then 1 building at Vintage Pads was actually affected by the fire. So anyone in that area would have been evacuated.
Can you speak to how the apartment complex management is working with the city and the fire marshal's office and investigators during this process?
We, beginning early this morning with the incident, we have been in constant contact with the property management. Property ownership has also been in contact with us. We've had meetings with them in person. They've been very supportive. They are working to try and help their residents as well. They're working to try and help the city. So I would say that it's been a very good and cooperative relationship where they've given us a lot of assistance and also to their residents. They've been very good to deal with.
Can you speak at all to any, if at all, challenges that crews faced out there this morning? It seemed like the roof of that building was some type of tin or metal material that almost made it difficult for crews out there to really penetrate the roof.
The building construction, we're still going to try and get a hold on as we go through the investigation, so I can't really speak to the building construction piece. Wind was a factor, and then just the fact that we had a large square footage that we were dealing with on the building itself, and that the buildings are close together, so we had what we would call exposures. So those were all challenges for the fire crews. The amount of fire that was present upon arrival presented its own challenges as well. And as you heard Christy and the mayor both say that, they were dealing with, injuries as they rolled in, heavy fires they were rolling in. And, so they had a lot that was working against them that they did a fantastic job of handling. But wind was an issue, and, the overall fuel load, because the buildings are so big.
Are all the firefighters okay?
All the firefighters are doing well, thank you for asking, and they're all healthy. They're tired, they're hot, but they're healthy, and everybody is okay on the scene.
What about a power outage in the area?
We did have SMU personnel. I know that we have some additional information on that we'll be putting out. We did have SMU personnel, the San Marcos Electric Utility folks on site. Anytime you have something like this, there is a correlating, you have to correlate the power issues with that also. We'll be putting more information out on that though. And Rachel, did you have something?
Another piece of information for any of those folks who have donations that they may want to help those that are affected by this fire. You can go to br3t.org. That's br3t.org. Click donate, and then in the comments box write ICONIC, ICONIC. Those profits, any of those donations will go directly to those that are affected by this incident. Also, any of those folks that have been displaced that have pets, animals, can be taken to the animal shelter, the San Marcos Animal Shelter.
I have one last question. We saw nearby homeowners where the flames were, firefighters were in these people's backyards because of how close the fire was encroaching into some nearby backyards of homeowners. Did it spread outside of the complex, or were they able to keep it under control enough that it didn't reach any other private property?
Majority of the fire was contained to the iconic property. There was extension into the adjoining property with the other apartment complex. There were no single-family homes that were affected by the fire. So those were just defensive measures that the crews were using in place to protect those other structures and those homes so that they would not be affected by fire. So it is within that property that we've previously discussed.
All right, any other questions?
I know with it being so close to the university that this apartment complex is, I guess, predominantly students, but were there any children or other age range outside of college students?
I don't think we really have specific information on that. I would say, I don't think it was specifically only limited to college students, but we'll know more about that as we get information from the apartment complex.
I know you didn't want to touch on injuries, but can you speak to a range or the type of severity? How serious are these injuries?
Not at this time, but we will be releasing that information. One more question. All right, thank you all very much for coming today.